Holy cow.
It's
Huge.
That's it. It's 40 feet long by 6.5 foot diameter, I think. It's a monster.
Oh, man.
Whoa! What the?
Parker, are you okay?
Oh, mate. What the?
You okay, buddy?
Parker Schnabel found real gold gleaming in the rusty ribs of a forgotten machine. He later discovered it was just the beginning of a buried jackpot. It wasn't just any day in the Klondike. Parker saw tiny flakes of gold trapped in a damaged drum that had been left to rot, like a haunted metal beast. Tune in, because what Parker's team discovered next could rewrite the history of gold mining. Parker's gamble on a rotting relic. You ever stare at an old pile of junk and wonder if it's hiding something? Parker did. Not long ago, he ran into a massive rusted machine just sitting there like it had been forgotten for decades. And not just any machine, a trommel. One of those giant rolling barrels that chews through dirt and spits out rock. This one looked like it hadn't moved in forever. Covered in vines, rust flaking off, the whole thing creaking if you even breathed on it wrong. Most folks would have walked right past it. Parker didn't. But what Parker discovered would change the way he analyzed the entire claim. He climbed up, took a look inside, expecting nothing but dirt and busted metal. Instead, he spotted something weird. Tiny sparkles. At first, it looked like dust. But nah, not dust. Gold. Real gold, stuck right into the walls of the trommel like it had been there for years, maybe longer. How in the world does that even happen? Turns out the old-timers running that thing had been missing the fine stuff. They were chasing big chunks and the tiny bits. They just got jammed in the cracks. Over time, they built up. A lot. Once Parker and his crew really started poking around, things got ridiculous fast. They pulled dirt samples from around the machine. Every pan came back loaded. Not just a flake here and there. We're talking serious gold. The kind that makes grown miners shut up and listen. And that machine? Stuffed. Not just gold stuck inside, but the dirt around it too. Like someone dumped a whole fortune and forgot to come back for it. Getting that monster out wasn't easy. It was big, heavy. We're talking several tons of metal rotted through in places, just barely holding itself together. No road nearby, no easy way out. Moving it meant cranes, hauling trucks, and a team that wasn't scared of a little muscle work. Once they got it to camp, the real job started. Ripping it apart and figuring out what could be saved. Inside, it was worse than it looked. Rust everywhere. Gears stripped bare, bearings gone, screens shredded. But Parker wasn't about to back down. They started replacing what they could, welding, patching, grinding. Then they went further, upgrades. Why stop at a fix when you can build something better, added newer tech, better motors, tighter screens. They were building a Frankenstein machine, part old bones, part new muscle. And when they finally flipped the switch, the thing came alive, not just working, crushing it. It started chewing through pay dirt like it was hungry, and the gold started pouring out. Not trickling, pouring. This wasn't just some lucky break, this was a jackpot, locked up in plain sight, and Parker was the only one who had the nerve to see it. Thing is, that trommel wasn't some standalone relic. Turns out, it had been part of a bigger system. Old records showed that dirt from several different sites had been run through it. All that material, all those years, meant more gold might still be out there, sitting in the dirt, waiting for someone to come pick it up. Most of the other gear from that time? Left to rot. But now those piles of junk suddenly looked real interesting. The deeper they dug, the more it paid off. Not just with gold, but with a piece of mining history. Every bolt, every weld told a story. Miners before Parker had worked themselves to the bone trying to hit it big. Some did, most didn't. But this machine, it held the leftovers, a hidden stash from back when people didn't even know what they were missing. And yeah, it took weeks, long days, broken parts, sleepless nights, and patience began to run out. But finally, Parker and his crew brought that trommel back to life. Not just to make some quick cash, this was about finishing what others started. About digging up a chapter of mining that everyone else forgot. That wrecked old drum, it became a gold-eating monster. Once it got rolling, there was no stopping it. Rich dirt kept coming in. Gold kept pouring out. Parker didn't just stumble into it. He saw value in something everyone else ignored. That's what made the difference. Parker's next move brought more than gold. It brought a crew that changed everything. Women who shaped the Klondike comeback. Parker did not bring in Tyler Mahoney for show. That girl came from the other side of the world, all the way from Australia, and the second her boots hit the dirt, she proved she was the real deal. This was not some camera trick. She had skills, and she used them when it counted. She pulled gold out of the ground when things were falling apart, and it was not by chance. She worked the ground like she was born for it, because she was. She came from a family that had been digging gold for 4 generations. That means her childhood was not about toys or screens. It was shovels, pans, and figuring out where the next nugget might be hiding. She knew how to read the dirt, where the heavy rocks settled, how the water moved gold. She did not just bring tools, she brought her brain. That knowledge helped her sniff out the best ground faster than most folks twice her age. When the team was spinning their wheels, she found the spots that paid. That was why Parker brought her in. He needed answers, not talk. He needed someone who could walk into a rough patch and turn it into gold. Tyler came in and did that. The crew saw it. Parker saw it. And the gold kept coming. Ashley Yulee came next. She looked like someone they might put on camera just to smile, but that was not her role. She worked like it was her name on the paycheck. She ran heavy gear, cleaned up big messes, and didn't complain when the bugs came thick or the hours ran long. She did not care how tough it got. She kept going. The crew respected that. Then came Bree Harrison. She was quiet, but she worked like a storm. Bree knew her way around machines, which meant that when things broke, she didn't wait for help. She grabbed tools and fixed it. That kind of speed saves money. In the goldfields, every second lost costs real dollars. Bree didn't just fix things. She found better digging spots by studying the maps and running the numbers. That kind of sharp thinking made her valuable. These hires were not just about filling slots. They changed how the whole place worked. Fewer breakdowns, more dirt moved, more gold in the pan. The proof was there, even if nobody said anything. Parker saw it. He is the kind of boss who watches. If you get results, you stay. If not, you are gone. And when the Klondike ground started drying up, Parker did not wait. He headed north. He was running out of pay dirt, and fast. He had 2 crews working and not enough gold to keep them moving. The piles were shrinking. The hours were ticking. Time was not on his side. He flew to Alaska, not for sightseeing. He was chasing a deal, a big one. There was a man named John Reeves who owned more than 20,000 acres near Fairbanks. That land had a history. More than 1/3 of all the gold ever taken from the area came from his land. But back then they missed a lot. That ground still had treasure hidden under the silt. Parker had made a handshake deal the year before. About 3,000 acres were set aside for him. But the world shut down. No flights, no digging, no crew. The deal sat in the dark. Now he was back, trying to make it real again. John did not sit still. He had his son-in-law Drew helping him keep things locked tight. If Parker wanted that land, he had to come with more than charm. That is why he showed up with a bag of gold. Not a check, not a contract, real metal, 100 ounces. That is about $180,000, cold and heavy. He dropped the bag on the table. No speeches, just wait. That gold was not a gift. It was a signal. If Parker drilled and hit pay dirt, that money would count toward the land payment. If he failed, John kept it. That was the deal. No free rides. John agreed, but he was clear. Next season, Parker better show up ready, machines on the ground, people in place. Otherwise, no more land. Parker left with less gold in his pocket, but the land was his for now. Back in the Klondike, things were almost over. They had been working the same ground for 10 years. Over 56,000 ounces had come out of that dirt. That is close to $95 million, but the permit was almost done. No more digging unless they found new land or made a new deal. Every hour counted. Parker and Mitch ran the wash plant through the night. Big Red was shaking hard, turning pay dirt into gold. But the ground was freezing, tools were sticking, machines were stiff. Then a spring snapped. The shaker deck has 8 springs. One broke. If that thing wobbles wrong, it can tear itself apart. They called in the big excavator, a 480 class monster. Lift the deck, swap the spring, drop it back in place, heavy work in freezing cold. But they got it done. Fired up the plant again. Water moved, rocks tumbled, gold flowed. They pushed the last pay dirt from Indian River. That final run gave them close to 400 ounces. Then they moved to the Panama Canal Cut. That spot had given them over 500 ounces the week before. In just 2 days, they pulled out another 240 ounces. That haul was worth about $410,000, maybe the best 2-day run they ever had. When they counted everything, they found 6,293 ounces from the final week. The season total hit 8,118 ounces, just under 200 ounces short of their best year. As Parker wrapped up, Rick Ness stepped into a gold rush packed with problems. One crew, one goal, one breaking point. Rick Ness might have just walked straight into the biggest gold jackpot of his digging life, and it hit hard, fast, and loud. But this isn't just a sunshine and riches story, no way. Things got messy and quick. Right off the bat, Rick's sitting on gold piles that would make most miners cry with joy. First, he hauls in about 100 ounces, then he scrapes together another 200. And after some serious breakdowns at the plant, he still manages to pull out 50 more. That right there is over 350 ounces, and it should feel like he's winning. But the stress? Still sky high. He's got this big, scary goal looming over everything. 2,000 ounces before the season's over. That's a mountain, not a molehill. And everything seems to want him to fail. Machines break, dirt fights back, days disappear, dollars go missing. Then comes the land deal. Out of nowhere, the landowner shows up. He wants to sell the entire claim, $250,000, just like that. It is tempting. It is risky. Rick's got pressure from every side, and now he has to think about buying land while barely keeping the wash plant alive. The worst part? The equipment's been chewing up time. All those expensive machines slowing down, breaking apart, acting up like old toys. Rick's running on fumes, trying to hit that gold number while the clock laughs in his face. Then he makes a call, a real desperate one. He brings in his dad. When his dad sees what Rick's been building, he does not hesitate, rolls up his sleeves and jumps in. First job, get Monster Red back on its feet. The plant is barely crawling with the small crew they have. No one's quitting, but everyone's one breakdown away from chaos. And right when things start to settle, trouble hits again. A hydraulic line cracks on the 700 digger. Without that beast, they can't move enough dirt to even find gold. But they do not fold. Rick and his dad dive into the mess. Fix it, get it roaring again. The hunt is back on. More problems roll in. Not enough workers. A job too big, equipment too pricey to break, too fragile to last. Rick pushes harder. Every single move now is a gamble. Buy the land, risk the season, fix this, upgrade that. Every hour lost is gold that stays in the ground. Then the wash plant goes silent. Cracks form. Water pours in. Steel pins snap. It could end the season. But Rick's dad steps in, gets control, keeps the plant alive. Meanwhile, a kid named Torchton tries to build a huge 750 digger and move it across a nasty patch of ground. This thing is massive. The bucket alone could scoop up a car. One bad move could wreck everything for weeks. Somehow, the rookie pulls it off. No panic, no drama, just calm hands and clear focus. One battle down, but they are still missing Carl, the guy who keeps the machines in check. Every failure now hits like a truck. Still, the crew keeps digging. Brennan stabs at a random spot and stumbles into gold. They call the place the Bacon Strip. Dumb luck maybe, but it sticks. Then the rock truck gets stuck in the pay dirt. Whole operation halts. Nothing fancy, just another mining mess. They shake it off and manage a strong cleanup, 75 ounces, big lift, until Riley, the rock truck driver, disappears. Turns out he got into a fight, ended up in the hospital. The crew barely has time to react, then the plant floods. A nightmare. But Rick's dad keeps calm and steady, holds it together. Monster Red starts running again. They pull out nearly 125 ounces. That is over $500,000 in gold, the biggest cleanup so far. But things fall apart again. Key parts go missing. Rocks slide through gaps in the screen deck. Cleanup drops to just 4 ounces. Monster Red shuts down. Rick calls in help. Freddie and Juan show up. It takes 4 full days to fix the wash plant. New punch plates, thinner than perfect, but they work. Next cleanup, 17 ounces back in the game. Rick takes another gamble, heads back to the deep cut, finds large rocks, a good sign. Test pans show gold. He moves hard, builds a bridge, runs tests, pulls in 14 ounces. Monster Red still is not ready. Rick stalls, does not want to waste good pay dirt, but waiting costs time. He finally kicks it on. The plant fires up and, surprise, a brand new hopper feeder appears. No one knows how he paid for it, maybe borrowed money. Either way, it changes the game. 2 full days of non-stop work. 43 ounces, not a record, but solid. Rocks keep jamming the belt. Rick brings in the manufacturer. They add something called a finger trap. Catches rocks, keeps things moving. Then comes another mess. Flooded ground. 6 feet of water blocks the payday. Rick brings in a 10-inch pump from the landowner, $40,000. It's their only shot. The pump kicks in, water drops. They dig, pull in another huge haul, over 100 ounces. Then more trouble. Cleanup crashes to just 4 ounces. Rick's season total climbs past 680 ounces. Good, but not enough. Suddenly, Brennan gets bumped up to night shift lead. No explanation. Viewers are left wondering. Rick digs deeper into Rally Valley, hits a wall of rocks 30 feet too early. Could be good news. Big rocks mean big gold, test pans show nuggets, real ones. He fires up the small plant, but he needs access. Builds a road, builds a bridge. They run another cleanup, 14 more ounces. Monster Red is still not fully ready. Rick does not want to risk good dirt, but he does not have time to wait. He kicks it on again. The hopper feeder works, gold flows, but the headaches keep coming. What would you do if your crew kept striking gold but your main plant was barely holding together? Smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit subscribe for more Gold Rush chaos.